Hi, everyone.
Hi, Ms. Calvin.
Hi. I'll go ahead and start with opening prayer before we get this going.
Yes.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just really thank you for this day, and we just thank you so much for the launch of the commercial division and just all the love and support we're getting from the community. And we thank you for Faith for sponsoring lunch for us to enjoy today, and that food will nourish our bodies. And we thank you for all our other sponsors here to teach us about 1031 Exchange and just to support our new commercial division. I just ask that you just bless our time together, that we'll be able to retain what we learned, and that we will go out and just be a blessing for the community. We pray all these things in Jesus' name. Thank you for being here, and I want to introduce Faith Villanueva, who is our lunch sponsor, and she's the one who invited our guest speaker, so we want to thank her.
I'm also going to ask Chris to come join us.
There you go.
We're going to present the bank.
Hi, my name's Jody Rizzo. I'm the manager of the First Citizens Bank in Temecula. Faith and I worked together at Wells Fargo for years and years. To give you a little background, I was there 15 years, you were there 10. And so we understand corporate banking. First Citizens is a little bit different. We're the largest family-controlled bank in the United States. We're based in Raleigh, North Carolina. We actually have branches all over. In Southern California, we have as big a footprint as we do back in North Carolina and South Carolina as far as assets go. We have a target area. We primarily are a business bank, and so we pride ourselves in being banking professionals. We do doctors, lawyers, dentists, property management, real estate, manufacturing companies. But we pride ourselves in being a relationship bank. Just like you may have a relationship manager at one of your banks now, you really would have a relationship manager with us. We have a very short list that you would, if you ever got on in the morning, you'd get a phone call from my ops manager. Hey, so-and-so, do we need to transfer some money? Does anybody have a banker that calls them now in the morning to transfer money? Well, that's who we are. We'll give our card out, but I do the banking portion of it, and then Faith does the lending portion of it. So
real quickly, again, my name is Faith Villanueva. I'm a business banker for First Citizens Bank. I do commercial lending. Lately, I've been doing a few churches. We do construction for owner-occupied buildings. So if you have any of those, please feel free to give me a call. I'll leave my cards. I understand most of you guys are, transitioning from residential lending to commercial. I would be so happy to discuss, the differences and what your needs are for the commercial side. We'll do future classes. Just let me know what topics you want. But today we asked the 1031 Exchange to come out and talk to us because I feel like that's a good transition between investor, that owns residential that's probably wants to transition over to commercial side. I also invited my friend Chris Spear from Tri-Counties Bank because First Citizens, we do some investor, but we don't do a lot of it. But I wanted to make sure you guys have somebody to talk to in case you have, actual live deals in the investment side. Chris, do you want to say something for us?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Faith. My name's Chris. Tri-Counties is headquartered up in Northern California, in Chico, not in Chino. We've got 3 offices down here in Southern California, but almost all of what we do is commercial. And I'd say a good bit more than half of what we do on the commercial space down here is focused on investment real estate. So multifamily, apartment buildings, plexes, office, industrial, retail, a very limited amount of some of the other stuff like gas stations, hotel, hospitality, self-storage, those types of things. Small ticket loans, I'd say we're quite good at. So, $500,000 to $2 million in debt. And then we're a $10 billion bank, so we could do a $100 million deal for one client and not have to participate that out. But given the state of the market right now, I'd say up to 20 is really good for us. Actively lending, pricing competitively. It's probably a good bit better than us on commercial real estate, so we work well together, very complementary because if it's an investment deal and I can book it, I want to win the business.
Absolutely. And that's it for us. So now I'm going to go ahead and ask Jay Marconi to join us up here. He's from Orange Coast Title Company. Perfect.
Thanks, Dave. I'm going to try to go without. Is that okay? I usually get pretty loud. I grew up with 6 brothers and a sister. So my name is Jay Marconi, and thanks so much for being here. Faith, where'd you go? Thank you for inviting us. We've known each other for a little while now, and hopefully we'll continue to do more business. I'm going to introduce 2 other people from our team. My role at Orange Coast Title is with their Builder Services Commercial Division. So specifically, I'm talking to home builders, commercial developers, business bankers, investment sales, land sales, that kind of thing. So if you have those kind of transactions, I can help you with those today. We, of course, have a whole resale team, which a representative is here for that. And of course, the information today, the 1031 exchange, if you don't know, I'm not even going to try to explain it, because we have an expert here who knows what she's doing. Just a quick thing about Orange Coast Title Company, since you may or may not have heard about it. My brother John actually founded the company in 1975. So we're celebrating our 50th year this year, which is really fun. It's a really interesting story. There's a few videos up on our website if you want to see them. My brother John's still very active in the company, works every day. But it's been a pleasure for me to work there. I've only worked there a couple of years. I've done a whole bunch of broad other things, and I gave you a little handout. It tells you about what I've done. In a nutshell, I worked for a bank, I worked for a civil engineering company, I was a commercial broker, and I built real estate also. So now I'm doing this with Orange Coast, their builder services, and trying to build it back up. So if I can be of service in any way, please give me a call. If I don't know the answer, there's someone in our group that does. So, and just one more quick thing about Orange Coast, I know you'll probably talk about this. We're not just in California, so for some of those commercial transactions, our office in particular can work in 9 states, and then we have a lender services where we can do it in nearly the entire United States. So again, thanks so much. I'll let you get the information. Thanks for being here, and thanks again, Faith. Oh, yes, and next is Annette Porter.
She's been waiting.
Yeah, so sorry, Annette. What am I supposed to do next?
I'm Annette Porter, and I'm the rep in this area, and I'm excited to be here. And as Jay pretty much covered everything, we have a plethora of tools for you. I love to do one-on-one trainings, and I like to do group trainings. We have a fantastic website, mobile app. Maybe some of you have been on it, don't know, but we have our own webmaster who creates the whole thing. And anything that comes up that you see we're lacking, we tell him, and he adds it on for us, like sometimes that day. Anyway, so anytime you guys need, most of you have my cards. I'm in the area all the time, and you can call me with any questions. You can text me. We have no problem looking at any prelims you guys have. You know, if you have one from another company and there's questions, let us give you a second opinion. We do that all day long. Just send us their prelim and we'll take care of you, because all we care about is you guys close your transactions, okay? So thank you for having us. And
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Can you pull like title work or preliminary work from out of state, from other
Yes.
states?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have, like, for instance, Arizona, we're called Equity Title. So we are in 50 states, and we're able, and on our website, when you're doing profiles, you can put any state in there. The only difference is we can't get the documents here, but we have contacts in other states where that's where we can get their, because you know, you get the documents on our website, it says view doc, and they'll be there. They don't come up on the other states, but we can access them through certain companies out there. So yeah, just call us anytime and we can get that stuff for you. Okay, any other questions?
And then real quick,
Yes.
since you mentioned it.
Yes.
So the tools that she's talking about is our Title Advantage. And if you use this barcode, you could get to it. When you do that, and that's your rep. So it's really helpful. And like she said, she's happy to train you on it. I don't want to go into too much detail, but it's a very, very powerful tool to create farms and opportunities to sell to your customers and create marketing materials, a lot of other things of that nature.
Yeah, right now, we need to be doing farming. You guys got to prospect, you got to farm, because the market's crazy. And they're saying it's gonna get really busy after the election, but start now. You know, get your face out there, wear your name tags everywhere. I get attention all the time because people see my name tag. And sure enough, if they're not selling, they know who somebody is. So just get out there. All right, guys, thanks so much. Let me introduce my very close
hand it off
friend,
to
she's
football.
absolutely wonderful, wealth of knowledge in every aspect of 1031 exchange. Susan Burns.
So, did anybody not get a packet of 1031 information? Whoop, gotcha. You're welcome. You can tell we're from the same family of companies because we all have those introduction issues.
We're not going to do the relay team. We can't hand off the baton.
Oh, no, we can hand off the baton, Jay. We are a well-oiled machine with our family of companies and all the products that we offer. We're just bad at introducing people in meetings. We'll work on that, though. We'll work on that. So, 1031 exchange. Just a couple of things. JLM is part of the Orange Coast Title family of companies. We have been successfully accommodating 1031 exchange since 1988. We offer all products, not just forward exchange, but also reverse exchange. Also improvement exchange, although that's not really popular right now because of the timeline with that, but we can certainly talk about it. And you've got a packet in front of you. On the back of most people's packets, you have our newsletter. Some people got it on top. We have just started a quarterly newsletter, or I have. And if you'd like to sign up for that, it comes via email with a little link. And you are welcome to ask Susan questions, and then you can ask questions, and if I can't answer it, we have a little attorney section here that our attorney will answer that question on 1031 exchange. The attorney that I utilize for the company as well for tough 1031 questions is a former IRS auditor, and he audited 1031 exchange all day long. Then went to law school and started his own law firm. So he was probably smarter to do that, I would say. So also in the packet is some 1031 information. You have my card. Please feel free to call me anytime, email me, text me if you have questions or you need to hook up with one of your clients with a 1031 accommodator. It's great when we can all get on a call together. Everybody hears the same information. I absolutely love doing that, so please feel free. Also, our brochure is there. There's some 1031 information in our brochure as well. And then I have this handy dandy flyer on forward exchange. If you open up to the inside and take the insert out, that's your timeline and identification rules. Very important information in 1031 exchange, as you are soon to find out. The inside is vocabulary of 1031 exchange and also exchange rules and guidelines for you. And then in the event that you cannot sleep at night, you know where I'm going with this, because you all see it in your packet. The IRS fact sheet on 1031 exchange. Mine's laminated by my bed. I'm not like that. All I gotta do is no joke. Just a couple other little flyers that are in there. We're going to talk about allowable expenses in 1031 and how to calculate where you should be reinvestment-wise. And then also interview questions for qualified intermediaries. Qualified intermediaries are not regulated. They also hold huge amounts of money, which makes it a little bit on the scary side. My recommendation is go with a major title company. They've got the insurance coverage and they'd like to stay in business for a few minutes. So usually you've got a lot of integrity. And this is a list of questions you can ask if you want to interview 1031 accommodators. Okay, so on with the show. Am I loud enough for everybody?
Yes.
Am I good? Okay. So 1031 exchange. The first rule you need to know is for investment property only. No primary residence, no second homes, no vacation homes that only you use. It's got to be used mostly for investment when it comes to the vacation home part. You can do Airbnb, you can do VVRO, Absolutely. You also can stay in that property up to 14 days out of the year, and it's still considered an investment property. I had somebody call me the other day saying, well, this isn't my primary residence, so my second home should qualify. No, it's not just that you don't live there, there are other considerations as well. Now, the timeline for 1031 exchange starts the day the deed records on your relinquished property. From that day, you have a total of 180 days to close on any and all replacement property, and yes, you can close on more than one. And you can invest over what you relinquished. There's no rule for that. You just have to reinvest at or higher than what you relinquished. 180 days to close on any and all properties that you are using as a replacement. However, those properties have to be identified within the first 45 days of the exchange period. That's the tough part, especially right now when we have low inventory. It's getting hard to find a replacement property. Now, you may have your sale, but don't worry if you don't have the replacement, because most of the exchangers are exchanging out of California. You can go ahead and get a referral fee by helping them find another agent. I had a guy who relinquished here in California, bought in Tennessee. The difference in price is not as great as it was back then. That was a few years ago. He bought 8 properties in Tennessee, and the agent he was using in California found him an agent in Tennessee, viewed all the properties before the investor, and he got a lovely referral fee from the agent in Tennessee because he was just instrumental in getting that job. So there are referral fees for you too, but of course our 2 transactions for one client is always really great. But if you do find an issue with low inventory, find their agent in the other state that they're looking at, and that will get you a bonus as well. So 45 days to identify. Now what happens if you can't close on anything you identified and the 45 days has passed? You will have failed your exchange. Now, there's no fine or penalty for failing exchange or entering it and not being able to complete it. You would just pay the same capital gains you would have paid otherwise. So I have a lot of people kind of taking that risk, and I have to say, more than 90% of people succeed. So it is a huge amount that even with low inventory almost nationwide, they still are managing to find a property that makes them happy and allows them to complete their exchange. We have something we call the same name rule. However you relinquish property is how you have to take your replacement property. Now there are some exceptions to that. Living trusts and disregarded LLCs, a single member disregarded LLC, they're allowed to relinquish in their trust or their LLC and then take property in their individual name, and they aren't breaking any rules. And the reason for that is banks out there don't like loaning to those disregarded entities. They want to lend to the people that make up those entities. So the IRS came up with that ability that you could go ahead and do that. So does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Can you tell me about a Delaware statutory trust?
Absolutely, I can. Delaware statutory trust is another option that the IRS considers real property. You must purchase real property. Now, there's another investment that is similar, and it's called a REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust. Those are not allowed in 1031 exchange because in a REIT, you're being deeded a percentage of ownership in a limited partnership, not real property. In a Delaware statutory trust, you're actually being deeded a fractional share of that property. So it is allowed with the IRS. Now, there are many, many types of properties out there. I've had exchangers go into senior living facilities, which is really popular right now. Large office or apartment complexes. Storage facilities are really popular as well. You can go into different DSTs, utilize all your money. You can even invest to the penny of where you need to be and purchase a variety of them. And I've had many exchangers do that. And talking about oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so to break it down, did that make sense to anybody? No, right?
No?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
What I would say is like, so your client wants, so for example, this is a scenario that you will come across, that I've come across and I've used this product, is because I have a property management business. So my owners are getting elderly, they just don't want to deal with tenants anymore.
Exactly.
Vacancies, damage to the property. So what they want to do is, let's just say right now, in my cases, that they're cash flowing $800 a month. Okay, that's how much they're getting after their rental income. So what they did is, because it's an investment home and that's how they report it to the IRS, if they sell it, they're going to be at a 30+ tax bracket of the capital gains because it's an investment home. To avoid that, what they did is that we sold the property, and instead of buying another property like you have to do, like on some of these products, now they went into a Delaware statutory trust, which is a different type of 1031. So now they went and someone else says, okay, now you own 25% of percentage of a storage unit. And they get paid a return on that money. So they're not paying taxes on their money. And now, in this case, it turned out that they were cash flowing $840 on the property they sold, and now they're getting like almost $1,400 on that property. They're getting more money, now they don't have, the money, they're kicking the can down the road, they're not paying taxes. So this is a different product that people specialize in. When we had Kyle Shibota, he specialized only in DSTs, remember? So that's the product, so that's what I wanted to ask you if you do them too, and who manages those assets and stuff.
We don't do them. A financial advisor would be the one to hire to find a DST that's right for you. And the great thing about DSTs is that they're managed by a trustee.
Yeah.
So the trustee collects the rents, the trustee makes sure the property is completely leased out, and the trustee handles any problems. No more midnight phone calls that somebody's faucet is dripping.
Right.
They're taking care of all of that. And the great thing is, once they sell, that's where you get your big benefit. When they go ahead and sell that property to someone else, you're gonna benefit that, and you can 1031 back into regular
It appreciates
property.
you make the money.
Yeah, you can 1031 back into just a property that you manage again, or you can just find other DSTs to invest in.
And so if they don't do it, I have the most amazing relationship that does do them,
Mhm.
right? LaShonda?
Yes.
LaShonda did one, yeah. And so if you guys are interested, just know that when you're talking to homeowners and that they want different options, just know that you have solutions for them. Okay, so
How fast does that go through, Sophia?
it's very quick. It's exactly.
So you got to day, let's say you're at day 40, and you couldn't find one, could this wrap?
100%.
Absolutely.
What you would benefit from, Michael, is like give you the number of Kyle, who'll do a presentation for you and your team. Kyle Shibota, yeah, I'll text you right now.
And just to make clear, we can't sell DSTs because we're an accommodator. All we're allowed to do is accommodate.
Yes.
But we do work with DST companies. Now, I'm on the very end. I don't know anything about the property. I get a closing statement and wire instructions of who we go. But I have given lists to people of our exchangers frequently use DST companies, if that helps in any way. But it sounds like we've got somebody right here
So
that
good.
can help.
He's in Hawaii, but
Well, yeah,
he's in Hawaii.
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where they're located.
That's one thing though.
That's all you have to be accommodators for.
We're the accommodator, so escrow is separate. So the only job we have is taking in the money and making sure the rules of 1031 are followed. That is our little square box, unfortunately, we can't do it. And you had a question?
Yes, it is. What exactly has to happen at the 45 days to be able to qualify?
They just have to be able to identify property. Now, they don't have to be an escrow with the property. It could be a property they're interested in. However, at this point, property's moving like this, you can list the properties one day and then 2 days later they're gone. So it's probably best to find something that's pretty solid within that 45-day time frame, or plan to go to DST. So let's talk really quick about that. I'll have you open up this, the timeline, the relinquished sale date. Then you've got the 45 days that you must identify, remainder of the 180. I want to talk about property identification for just a minute. So identifying property is not presenting us with a list of a whole bunch of properties. There are limits to what you can identify. So you either have the 3-property rule, which allows you to identify up to 3 properties, regardless of value. You only have to purchase 1. The next rule that would ideally allow you more than 3, if the math works in that state, is the 200% rule. You can list as many properties as you like, as long as you don't list more than 200% of what you relinquished in value. So if you sell at $500,000, you have $1 million that you can list. Now in California, that's really hard if you're lucky that it's 2 properties. And so the 3-property rule is generally the best rule. The final rule is the 95% rule. You can list as many properties as you like. However, you must purchase 95% of the value of what you listed. Now that can get really dangerous. The number one thought that comes to my head is always money. And that's, what if that exceeds my budget? What if I can't afford to do that? Number 2, what if that 95% is not available for purchase anymore? You'll get taxed. You will have failed your exchange. So really the safest way to go is the 3-property or the 200% rule. In California, the 3-property rule seems to rule. Little joke, sorry. Kind of a dad joke. Anyway, fell flat. Anyway, that's usually 3 properties, usually the best to do in California because it gives you the most options. Now you can turn in a form and you can go ahead then and keep changing. I turned in this form 2 weeks later, I got a whole new list. That replaces the previous form, you're good. You can keep doing that until the 45 days expires, or you can turn one in at the 45-day mark. Whatever works best for the client is what we do. And we usually review ID forms. Actually, I always review ID forms just to make sure they're within the rule that they plan to be in. I had a gentleman that sold at $4.5 million. He was in escrow with a $7 million building. Solid escrow, but it was his first exchange and he was really nervous. So he said, well, I'm gonna do the 200% rule. And I said, fine. And he listed $22 million worth of property, way exceeded the $9 million he had. And thankfully, he turned it in and let me know he turned it in so I could check my email because it was after hours. And I'm like, oh, we've got to cross some of these off because you're in the 95% rule. And he goes, well, I can't afford $22 million. You need to cut some of these off. So you just want to make sure if you're following anything other than the 3-property rule, have your accommodator just kind of double check your math and make sure that you're where you want to be. So does anybody have any other questions? Yeah?
You just briefly touch on the 3-property rule?
The 3-property rule allows you to list up to 3 properties, regardless of the value of those properties. You can list 3. It doesn't matter. There's no 200%, anything like that. You can list 3 properties. They could all be for $1 million. It doesn't matter. And you only have to purchase 1. It's the simplest rule. I'm listing 3 properties. I'm going to purchase 1 of them, and then I'm done. It's the safest, best rule to follow, usually. Anybody else?
the three property rule, what's the max you can, buy?
You can buy the 3 properties you identified would be the maximum, if the 45 days has passed. Now, if you're still within that 45-day period, you can just keep changing up your list. That's not an issue at all. So let's talk really quick about where you need to be to stay tax deferred. You need to be at sale price minus allowable expenses. So we have a little flyer of allowable and non-allowable expenses. The most common allowable expenses are agent commissions, customary closing costs such as escrow and title fees, and then the exchange accommodator fee. Now, if you've used your tax attorney or CPA to help structure your exchange, you can subtract those bills off as well to get to a net reinvestment amount. Does anybody have questions about the formula for staying tax deferred? Was that pretty clear? Good, okay. And then just real quick, talking about, I apologize, that's mine. Talking about qualified intermediaries, just touching on it again. You want to make sure you go with somebody who keeps your money safe, is the obvious one there. But you want to go with somebody with a lot of experience, because there's so much to read on the internet and not all of it's right. Just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's factual. And so I've been working with a husband and wife that were reinvesting a little over $3 million, and they're buying they're buying one property but relinquished several. And so their banker, and no offense, their banker and their real estate agent, no offense, and the spirit of people have been giving them advice, the seller of the properties and things like that. And their exchange wouldn't have gone well if they listened to all those people, and they didn't have an accommodator on hand that knew the actual facts with the IRS. Common sense and the IRS don't necessarily go hand in hand. So you would think that, oh, it makes sense to me that you could do this. And then find out, oh no, they keep the rules vague so that if you interpret them, they'll interpret them differently. And so you just want to make sure that you're really getting the facts, and you need an accommodator who can give you those facts and have resources to go and ask those tough questions. Because the one thing that I get all the time is that, oh, you need to ask your tax advisor, or you need to ask the tax attorney that question, because it's more in-depth and interpretive than I'm allowed to be. And then the CPA or the tax attorney doesn't really do 1031 exchange. They don't have a client that has done 1031 exchange, so they know it's for investment property, but they don't know any more than the exchanger. And so they'll say, your accommodator should be able to answer that question. No, I can't get legal or tax advice. I can't answer that question. We need you to do it. And sometimes they have to find somebody that has 1031 experience so that they can get that question properly answered. But accommodators can only go so far. We can't give legal or tax advice because we aren't qualified to do so. Any questions? Yes?
Yes, Susan, can you give a general overview of how debt impacts 1031 exchange, if there are requirements around replacement debt, that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. When you sell a property in a tax sale, you pay off your debt, no issue. In 1031 exchange, there's no debt relief. So when you pay off that debt, you need to reinvest that too, which is why we say sale price minus allowable expenses. It incorporates that debt payoff. Now you can do one or two of two things. Either match the debt you had before, or I have exchangers that are seniors, they don't want debt anymore. They don't have to worry about payments anymore. They come in with some money they've got stashed along the side here to just go ahead and match that. You just simply need to match it or go above. And again, sale price minus allowable expenses, that's the way to get to net reinvestment amount.
answered that question.
That is a good question.
And also, in our newsletter, I just want to let you all know, because you guys always have to do continuing education. We now have, state of California approved, actually, we're in several states approved, we're just waiting for Nevada and Colorado. We have a 2-hour class that gets you 2 credits, only $20, and I come to your office and teach that class. And it's very informative. We go completely over 1031 exchange, including title parking exchanges, which are a more advanced subject. Title parking exchanges are reverse and improvement exchanges. The reason they're called title parking exchanges, in a forward exchange, we get your money until you're ready to reinvest. In a reverse or title parking exchange, we're going to hold title on the property until you've gone through the whole process and relinquish. Now, on the lending side for that, and Chris, tell me if you're able to help with this, I'm not sure, but we can't use conventional lending because we're holding title in an LLC that we control to meet safe harbor guidelines.
I have been able to do it under a very recent transaction actually in Gardena. Even though, yes, it is under, the LLC is not owned by my borrower, we were able to make an exception. Yeah, given there are no other credit exceptions on the file, it's a very strong borrower. And he was allowed to be an officer so he could sign our loan docs, but not own the LLC.
That's interesting. That's very interesting because
The accommodator wouldn't sign our loan docs.
no, generally we won't sign the loan docs because we don't want to take responsibility for someone else's debt. Makes sense, right?
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So that's interesting. I need
We
to.
had to get legal advice.
Yeah,
And we had to keep our borrower paid a little bit of money towards an attorney to make sure it's all legal and allowed.
Okay, good. Because we had that come up once and our attorney felt that was somehow giving them constructive control.
We went back and forth. He's
Yeah.
not an owner of the LLC, but he was authorized to sign on behalf of the LLC. It's kind of fun.
And there could be an acknowledgement that we signed for them stating we're okay with them putting debt on the property, which we have definitely done. Yes.
I know half of the agents in this room are brand new to the industry.
Okay.
So I'm speaking mostly to you, and if you're new to the industry. So the best way to understand, like I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, if I was new, like everything you just said sounds Chinese to me.
Well, exactly.
Does that make sense? And,
Exactly.
And those of you that are laughing are like, you guys
No,
know,
no.
you're sitting here.
Very truthful.
You're sitting here, you're like, oh, accommodation and exception, and it means nothing to someone that has not done a real estate
I agree with
transaction,
you.
right?
It's a lot of information. That's
Yes,
why you
so-
have this.
So all you need to know is this. So when I was new like you, I would sit in the room and say, okay, I don't have to know all this. I just have to call her when I have this. Yeah. So think.
Brilliant woman,
Think-
right there. Aren't you glad she's in charge?
Thank you like that. Thank you. But the basic that you want to understand is that when people have a home that they've reported on their taxes as an investment home, I say that because the Latino community, we mess around with that a lot, okay? So, you just know the demographic of where this office is, so I already know, right? So, just so if they report on their taxes that if they wanna sell a home, they say, hey, I have a rental, I wanna sell it, that's when you have to tell them, hey, go talk to your CPA about possible tax implications.
Exactly.
Because remember, there's other rules that you don't have to understand, like a step-up basis, how the kids don't pay taxes when they die, there's other ways. However, what you want to know is either they can get the money out, but they're going to pay. I have a client, I'm going to sell a house on Chambers at the end of this month. She doesn't care. She's like, I'm old, I have 4 houses, I love going to the casino, sell my house, I'll pay the IRS their 30%, 40%.
Yeah.
But some people don't care, but you have to let them know because when you're new, you sell a house and if you don't guide them, then they're going to get a $100,000 bill, then who's going to be liable? Right? So all you have to know is this. If someone wants to sell a home that was a rental, you tell them, listen, talk to your CPA because you may have some tax implications. I'm not a CPA. Or you can explore another option. What we can do is we can move this money to a better investment, why would they do that? Because they would move it to something that cash flows more, that's in a better neighborhood, something that's a better, like, now they're gonna go from a rental that hardly gives them cash flow, and that is, maybe the rents are lower, now they wanna move it to a better asset, right? Can you 1031 exchange from a residential to a commercial?
Absolutely.
So now they say, you know what, I don't wanna own a house, I wanna own a small, guess what, I own a business and I'm sick of paying my landlord, I own a house, rental, so I'm doing that with a different client, I know you guys saw my video, I'm doing that, he's renting a DMV tag business, so now he's buying a different building, so it's like, hey, now he's going to 1031 exchange that house to the building. So what that means is that you're taking the money out. If they have to, this is what you have to understand, they have to, if they get 300,000 out, they have to put all 300,000, every penny into the next one. Latinos are gonna tell you, no, I wanna keep 100, you cannot, you need.
Well, but you're gonna be.
You're gonna be taxed on it.
You can, so then like, I'm gonna be doing a DST for my parents, and that's what I want them to do. I want them to sell a rental, I want them to put some of it into a DST and replace the exact same cash flow they're getting. So they're not gonna lose their $1,400 a month, but the rest of it, I want them to get taxed on it, because I want them to spend it before they die. Does that make sense? So they're gonna keep half and only gonna DST half. You can do that too.
Oh, absolutely.
So just all you have to know is that we are partnered with experts in their industry. If you want to talk to an amazing commercial lender, the lady's right here. You want to talk to an amazing title person, the person that let the professionals do their job. All you have to know, all I want you to do is to go sell houses or buildings, right? And then let them learn this part.
Exactly. It's
Does
just
this
to
make
make
sense?
you, this is
helpful
just to
to
make you aware. My class is just to make you aware of the possibilities so that you can say to your client, have you ever heard of 1031 exchange? And exactly, we always recommend with every single exchange I take, talk to your tax professional. Make sure this is right for you. No joke, I had a guy sell a $10 million building. His CPA was on vacation in Europe, couldn't reach him. And he said, I'm just gonna put it in 1031 exchange, it's $1,500 for anything over $3 million. It's $1,500 exchange fee, I'd rather pay that and have a shot. Tax guy comes back and he said, well, if you're not aware of it, but you've had some losses and this and that. Basically, you're only paying $10,000 in taxes on a $10 million building. Well, of course, he waited the 45 days, didn't identify anything, took his, 9,090,000 whatever.
Hell yes, take my money.
Yeah, and then enjoyed life.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. So, yeah, don't we all wish we're in that position, right?
We will be.
I know that
I know I am.
Yeah.
But this is simply to make you aware of another product, another option for your clients. You don't have to know everything. I know what I said probably gave you cartoon eyes today. I mean, you're just like, oh my gosh, is there gonna be a test at the end? I don't know. No test at the end. All you need to do, okay, everybody hold up their business card. You got this, right?
Yes.
We all have this. You call me, let me worry about the 1031 stuff. They need to call their attorney or their CPA, let them worry about the tax stuff. We just want to stay in our little lane of
Scan it on
knowledge.
your Camp Card app, that way you don't lose it, and you have all these professionals' numbers, okay?
Yeah, definitely. Because I couldn't even begin to know how to sell a house. So good on you guys, because there were so many tests you had to pass tests, you had so much education that you had to take. Same with me, but you guys are on a much bigger scale than I am. So you can always call me, text me, email me, and I will be there to answer your questions and help you out and talk to your clients if need be. Okay? Anybody have any more questions or?
Thank you so much for being here, because this is knowledge that we all benefit from, and that I would like you to meet our escrow officer.
Oh,
Please,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, go meet her, because she'll be your point of contact.
Absolutely. Yeah, so now that everybody can breathe a sigh of relief and there's cookies in the back because I scared you thinking there was gonna be a testimony. Thank you all.
Okay, let the show.
Okay, before we dismiss, we want to thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for our lunch sponsor and our dessert sponsor. Thank you, Chris, for the crumble cookies, and Jody for the drinks, and thanks for the sandwiches. And thank you for the lesson learned today. But we have one announcement that we want to make today. You know how Steve Ryder had a Quantum Leap?
Yes.
So in the Quantum Leap, he was offering a $1,000 scholarship to learn commercial real estate. Drum
They're wearing Dodger blue.
Thank you.
Well, congrats to Jim.
Yeah, and so next year, we'll promote that, but Steve Ryder would like to give a $1,000 scholarship every year for commercial. Yeah, and that pays for her group coaching after I get her through the nucleus. This concludes our meeting. I thank you so much for being here and your support. Have a blessed day.
Thank you.